Here's another explanation of hexadecimal color values. This is the beginning of part 2 of chapter 3. We use the hashtag is used to indicate the hexadecimal value. Hex pairs range from 00 to FF. So it goes 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, all the way to 09, then 0A, 0B, 0C, 0D, 0E, 0F. And at that time this becomes a 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, and so on. There are three hexadecimal value pairs described in RGB color, and it's always in the order of red, green, and blue. So the first two digits are red. So notice here where we have FF, which is the maximum intensity, it becomes red. Green, which is the next two characters, if that's maximum intensity, goes on maximum intensity green. And then blue colors, maximum intensity blue, will return blue here. And this is gray, black, and white. Here's a collection of 216 colors that are considered the web color palette. Displays the most similar on the Mac and PC platforms. All the hex values are pairs of 00336699CC or FF. And you notice the colors that you can display here using those. And you can go to this website for a color chart. So how do you choose a color scheme? You can choose one monochromatic. You can go here to this website to look at it. You can choose from a photograph or other image. You can go to here for that. You begin with a favorite color, and you can use one of the sites below to help choose your other colors. So you can go to any one of these websites to help you choose the colors for your website. You need to verify that you have sufficient contrast. One of the things that's worse for web pages is when it's very hard to read the text because of either the background or the image in the background obscures the text where it's very difficult to read. People are not going to stay on the web page long, they're going to leave and they're not going to come back. So you can use one of these tools to help check your contrast on your pages. So do configure color with inline CSS. We're going to configure it in the body of the web page. We're going to use a style attribute of an HTML tag, and it applies only to that specific element. So here's an example of using it on H1 style. So here we have an H1 element. We change the style. We change the color of it. Notice this is full intensity red. This closes our heading tag. So this tag is going to display in the brightest red possible. And it's only going to apply to this H1 tag. If I have another H1 tag on the page, it's going to go back to the default color, whatever that default color happens to be. Here's another example of doing multiple changes. So here we change the color of the text and we change the color of the background to gray. And again, since this is inline, it applies only to this particular item. Any other H1 I have in this web page would be displayed in the default color. Now, one reason that's bad is that if I want to do the same thing over and over again with all H1 tags, all H2 tags, I have to repeat it. And then if I come back and change my mind, then I have to go and change all those tags, which can lead to inconsistent results and lead to errors. So one thing they allowed to do was to take the styles and move it into the head section of a web page. So we use the style element in the head section. We list the HTML commands that we want. Notice there's no brackets around it. And then we list the changes we want to make. So here we change the background color to black. Here we change the color of the text to white. So we would have, the body would be black with a white color text for that one. Here's another example with styles. Here we've done a few different styles. Here we have the body. We give a background color and a color for the text. We give an H1, again the background color and the color, and H2 we have a background color and a color for that tag. So, and then we have a closing style tag, which is off the screen that you can't see. Now wherever I use body, it's going to use this one. When I use H1, it's going to have this color. So here's an H1, so there's going to be a dark purple with a white, sort of whitish color here. Okay, so that's the H1, H2. All right, we give a background color and a color for that one. So notice they sort of swap the two here. So on this one, we get that light purple in the letters with dark purple here. Here they're dark purple with the light purple in the background. List 3 reasons for using CSS on a web page. Well, it makes us easier to change the style of the sheet. It makes it easier to change the colors on the sheet. It makes it easier to change the fonts, and there's other items that we can change real easily. Okay, when designing the page that uses color other than default for color, text, and background, it's a good reason to configure these, both the text color and the background color, so we make sure there's sufficient contrast between them. And one advantage of using embedded styles instead of inline styles is that the embedded styles apply to the whole sheet and not just one particular item at a time. So the CSS properties we can configure in text. We can change the font weight, configures the boldness. We can configure the font style, configures text italic style. The font size configures the size of the text, and the font family configures the font typeface of the text. So here's some different values. We can use either EM units, pixel units, point units, or percentages. Or we can use text values extra extra small to extra extra large. Right? Now, not all computers have the same fonts installed, so we always provide a font family. So when a font family is given, it first looks at the first one. If that's available, that's what it uses. If that's not available, it uses the next one. If that one's not available, it uses the next one. And you should always have a default that's almost on all computers. And here's the default one. So here is an example of a paragraph inline. Here we have a font family, and we start out looking for Arial. If Arial's not on there, then Verdana, and then sans serif. So here is an example. We can change the font family for the body, and then we can change the font family for H1 to a different one. Notice if the font family has spaces in it, you're required to put double quotes around that so it doesn't mistake what those spaces are. And then we have our paragraph and the underline. We're going to do a font weight bold anytime we underline, unordered list something. And then that's the end of our style. And this is an embedded style sheet, and this is what the result of this style sheet happens. So notice that this unordered list here is in bold. So these are other things that you can do with text properties. You can read through these and find out, which ones that you'd want to use for your particular page. End of part 2.